So that's what the breathing is all about. I mean, what you just got done talking about, battle, what we were talking about, habits. The only way you can change all of that is to build a new pattern in your mind. The only way you can build a new pattern is to repeat the recognition of what is valuable to you. And that breaks old patterns and builds new ones. Now, the one pattern that I want to help you build is one of freedom. So that you're free to choose. Like right now, you're not free to choose. You're bound to a whole structure that will be chosen every time based upon a pattern that you've been running. So when circumstances happen, you immediately start doing something based on that pattern. You're not experiencing freedom. And that's where the breathing comes in. You know, when you're with your breathing, it's more difficult to instantaneously go to a past reference as a pattern for present activity when you're breathing, because you'll just be there, and the idea, the emotion, whatever it is that's happening will come, but you're with your breathing, so you immediately have a choice. Where before you were just, whatever it is was going on in your mind, an activity of the world, you would just always run on memory. Everything you're doing is just running on memory if you're not with your breathing. So breathing will stop the patterning. At least it stops it to the point where you can choose differently. And that's important. It's important that you know when you're breathing and you're making an effort to be aware of your breathing, that the purpose that you're doing that is so that you can find the freedom to choose once again. Rather than being forced to follow a pattern based on the choices that you chose in the past. If you choose not to practice being aware of your breathing, I assure you that you're choosing to live in the past. And you need to admit that. Because once you admit it, you'll also admit that there's a need for change. And once you admit there's a need for change, then it's, well, how am I going to change? And as soon as you ask yourself, how are you going to change? You know you better talk to the Holy Spirit. And that's the first change. Not talking to Holy Spirit to talking to Holy Spirit. That's a good one. You're starting right where you're going to get the greatest help. Can you see how this makes sense to me? To me. You can hear how it makes sense to me? Do you know what that means? That means it makes sense to you. Okay, now, does it make sense to you after it makes sense to you to not follow it? So because it makes sense to you, you're going to follow what will be helpful to you.